This is an exhibition of work by Takasada Matsutani at Hauser and Worth in Somerset. First walk into the first gallery, there's a sense of things being suspended, space things in suspended animation, things being paused, and emphasis on time as well. There is a combination of energy and stillness. It's quite a minimalist space. It's quite spare, and the work is just that you kind of walk around everything, including the suspended discs. There is also an emphasis on gravity and pouring, things flowing. As you see, this vinyl glue dripping over the surface here. This central pendulum is filled with ink. Which you can't actually see it splashing, but you see the splash marks around, I think, what is a wooden ball. And intriguingly, you can see some fresh, right here, fresh ink. And there's obviously space around the sphere that is left empty. Walking into the next room, this made me think of vessels, perhaps Japanese ceramics, and a combination between planning and accident, kind of very slow making of work, and more immediate. So the backgrounds here, I think, looking close up, are actually made by many marks of graphite. This piece is paint, so it's canvas with vinyl with glue on top. I think that the artist, so Matsutani, would pour the glue, and then while it's drying, let it drip when it's nearly dry. So it's kind of, there is a control as well as it being quite spontaneous. Really drawn to the like iridescent effects of the glue. It also makes me think of art students at school, you know, that film that's created with PVA glue, kind of painting their hands and pulling it off again. It makes me think of skin. This is a large piece dominating the room, kind of installation with this ball which is covered in graphite, and this large piece of work which is made up of many marks of graphite, so it has a sheen to it. And here we can see the maquette or sketches for this piece. So again, a sense of like slow versus here something very dynamic and decisive, quite explosive, and this repetition of the sphere. This room is quite intriguing because it's a bit like his these look like quite playful objects. I don't know if they're tests and tools. It looks like tools that he's made, you know, kind of little 3D sketches, and a very experimental, you know, just trying out ideas. And there were some references that make me think of traditional forms of Japanese ink painting and things. Here again, this obsession and interest with glue and the way really interested materials and the way they react together. This is quite different. There's a etching plate, and we are given a title for this one, which is Propagation, so suggesting this interest in organic growth. Though I read nothing about Takasada Matsutani before seeing the exhibition, and there was no wall text, I avoided reading the one piece of text in the gallery. There was a video of the artist talking at the end of the exhibition, outside of the gallery, which which is interesting. So it didn't really intrude on your perception of it. Some of the things that came out of that video were that he is interested in his kind of the space he occupies between Occidental and Oriental. He says, what am I in that relationship? That's important to him. He talks about in his work in context how post-war Japan, as sensei, lost everything, wanting to start new things, and for him it was partly going beyond the canvas, and also vinyl glue was a new material he was fascinated in. He talks about it becoming windy, becoming liquid, becoming 3D by chance, and also having this organic element to it. And he manipulates it, I see in a video, through actually blowing it when it's semi-dry, and using hair dryers, or lots of experimentation with the material. Through this work with vinyl glue, he joined this group, Gutei, Japanese art group, which in Gutai means concrete. And he said it's all about doing it and about action. He continued this interest using vinyl glue throughout his career, but he also he moved to Europe in 1966 and worked in Paris, and developed his printmaking part of his practice there. He talks about using or drawing on his Japanese culture, for instance, black and white calligraphy and Zen philosophy, but not wanting to use it in a nostalgic way, wanting to create something new. Another thing that struck me is he mentions this monk-like interrogation. He would set himself this challenge, which was, you have one pencil, one piece of paper, what do you do? And he says he penciled every day, and for almost 40 years has continued to do this. So it's basically like restricting himself, having a very disciplined process. He also talked about time being very important for him. His conscious, he talks about his consciousness streaming for infinity. So whilst he is aware of our mortality, he feels that through his ideas he can achieve some form of infinity. So I actually enjoyed this way of looking at the work. I very rarely do this, where I don't read anything about the work or in an exhibition. Enjoyed exploring and experiencing the exhibition, and then finding out and researching the work retrospectively and seeing how that informed my views.